Welcome back, FAS Outdoors YouTube channel. Today we want to talk about releases. Which ones you should try, which one may work best for you, and how to determine which one is best for you. Alright, which release is best for you? We get asked that a bunch in the shop. So, let's go over the three main types to start out. Probably the most common is your wrist strap. So this is a B3. It's a single claw. Probably one of my favorite wrist straps. Very good release. This is a thumb. This one here is a True Fire. This is actually my personal release. I like it a bunch. Has a lot of really nice adjustments on it, a lot of angle change of the barrel, tension, and travel adjustments in it. And one of my big things with a thumb is I want, when the caliper is locked, to have 360 degrees of closure. I don't want any opens like the claw. I don't want that on my thumb. And I will explain that later. Last is a hinge or a back tension. So unlike the other two, this has zero, this doesn't have a trigger. It moves off, it fires off movement. So as this moves, it falls off a moon and then fires. So it's done off movement of the release. There's no actual trigger via index or thumb on this one. So which one's right for you? Well, to be honest, you are the only one that can answer that. People shoot different releases different ways, and they work differently for everyone. There is no perfect release mechanism out there that I can say this is going to work perfectly and the best for everyone. It's all about preference and what you like. Now, there are some guidelines. If you're hunting, this is my last go-to, personally, a hinge. Too many variables. Because it doesn't have a trigger in the heat of the moment, if you're wearing gloves and you pull this thing back and you're not used to pulling it back with that set of gloves on or whatever, and halfway through, you just lost a deer. So not my favorite to hunt with. Probably the most popular to hunt with is the wrist strap. Affordable. A lot of guys have been shooting them for years, so therefore they're more comfortable with them. They're comfortable with that anchor position where everything needs to be, and it just works. Becoming more and more popular for hunting, I think, is the thumb button. So I think it's becoming more and more popular in the hunting community. This is actually 100% what I hunted with this year. So, and to go back to the why I pick one that has 360 degrees of containment is because I deer hunt here in the state of Ohio, and so I'm not spot and stalking or anything of that nature. So this hangs from my D-loop in my tree stand just like that. So as my bow's hanging there, if I go to grab a shot, all I do is grab the bow, I grab the gun or the release, pull back, everything's right there, ready to go. So I like that. When I go out to my stand, I throw this in my pack. I always double check to make sure I have it, but I throw it in my pack and I climb up in my tree stand, pull my bow up with me, hang my bow, knock an arrow, and then the next thing I do is put that on, and that is how it sits in my tree stand. So that is what I use to hunt. Now, I personally pick a thumb to hunt over a wrist strap for a few different reasons. One, for the reason I just explained. I like it hanging from my bow like that. I feel like I can still grab my bow and operate a grunt call, and it's hanging or if I need to operate my rangefinder or anything, I can be a one-hand operation, and when it comes time to actually draw back and make a shot, I can just easily grab it, pull back, no big deal. The secondary reason is indoor season, so all winter, I use this, and sometimes all summer and for 3D, I shoot a hinge, which is a handheld release. So it's a natural, easy transition into a thumb because I'm so used to that anchor. I'm so used to how a hand release feels because that's what I shoot all year. One of the other reasons I personally don't like a wrist strap is I don't like something on my wrist while I'm hunting. This one is probably one of the better ones because of the, if you can see that there, the side, it has 100% access into that, so it's open. So if you were hunting, it's easy on, easy off without a lot of fumbling around. Some of the dual calipers, I mean, you gotta like almost take your eyes off of what's going on and physically clip that on your bow and make sure you got it. To where here, I can be locked in, ready to make a shot, and if something happens, the deer moves, I can easily get out of it, still operate a rangefinder, grab it, orientate it with my thumb, know that this is here, and basically clip that back on without taking my eyes off of the field, and then I can draw back and make the shot still with this. So if I was going to hunt with a wrist strap, would be my pick. So that's hunting in Ohio. Now, if I was elk hunting or any spot and stock, any going to a lot of hiking involved, I would not use a thumb. I would not take a thumb with me. I would prefer a wrist strap at that point. And at that point, I would probably carry a backup as well. So I would buy two of the exact same releases, set them up the exact same way, the exact same length, the exact same trigger travel, all of that being exactly the same. Put one in my pack, and then obviously travel with one on me. I have never done a like big out west type hunt where a lot of hiking is involved, but I have heard enough horror stories of guys using these. They may have a pouch for it or whatever. They sit down on a log to rest, grab a bite to eat, grab something to drink, set it down, and because it's not connected to you, forget it. And that would be about the most terrible thing to happen in a hunt, to realize you forgot it once you need it. So just because of that, and because you may have to put a stock, I don't want to fumble around with getting in and out of my pouch. I just want it on my wrist. But because I hunt out of a tree stand, I do prefer a thumb. Now, how to determine which one's best for you? So there's no just, well, if your hand is this size, then this is best. If your hand, no, that's not necessarily how it works. The only way to really determine what release is best for you is to shoot them. Shoot all three styles and different variances of that style. So obviously I have personally almost eliminated this other than I go out west for me, because bouncing back and forth in between this and a handheld will change how you look through your peep, and you would have to adjust your peep all the time. So with these two, these are both what I use. I am actually able to carry both of these in my 3D bag and bounce back and forth, and I have the same point of impact with these. Obviously they're both 3 fingers, but one is a little thicker than the other, but the head lengths are really, really similar on them, as you can see there. And so that's what really matters. If this head was really curled or longer, then I would probably get a little bit of a different point of impact hit. But so I carry both a hinge and a thumb. Now, right now, normally I always shoot a hinge indoors, and I have been for years. But right now, I don't know what it is. I really, really struggled at the last outdoor 3D shoot to get this to go off. I was shooting it great all indoor season really well, but as soon as I went outside, I struggled. And that's something that can happen. I mean, you go outside, your footing gets taken away. You go outside, you're shooting at a 3D animal now with no dots on it, opposed to standing in here shooting an FAA spot where there's an X right in the center, and you have a very defined point of aim. You're able to 20 yards, flat ground, pull back, execute your shot, and make it go off. But for whatever reason, when I went outside this year, and this has been the first year it's happened for me, so I don't know if it has something to do with how my bow's set up for me this year too, or what, but I struggled. So when I came back, I got my thumb out and started playing with it a little more than normal. Normally I carry this for windy conditions, is about what I really use it for. If it starts to get super windy, I'll grab my thumb. I know point of impact's still the same. It's not something I practice with a lot outside of hunting season. Once hunting season comes, obviously I get my thumb out and I practice with my hunting bow a lot, and I only use this on my hunting bow. But on my target bows, it's something that I confirm, oh yes, that same point of impact. It fits me still from hunting season, and I don't give it much thought. But when I came back, I started shooting this more and really fine-tuning on how it felt. And so I'm gonna upload a couple pictures. One of my favorite things to do, and I heard it a long time ago. I can't remember who said it, but they said every time you practice, practice with a purpose. And when he first said it, I'm like, oh yeah, every time I shoot, I try to do good. It's not trying to do good is what he meant. Is what that person meant is every time you practice, keep score. Don't come in here and pound targets, just pound holes in them and never keep score. You have no idea if what you're changing is actually working or not. So what I like to do anytime I'm changing a setup, that's stabilizers, peep height, anything, is I will shoot a half a round, a 5 spot with how it was before, make the change, shoot a half round, document, okay, this is what it was before, this is what it is after, what got better, what got worse. And so I did the same thing with these two releases here. I shot a half a round with my hinge and a half a round with my thumb. So I will post the video, or the picture, I'm sorry, of my target face. Now, please don't make fun of me. I never claimed to be an amazing archer. So, and I have not shot a lot lately, but I'm making excuses. Don't blow up the comment section too much with making fun of my really terrible scores. But I will show you the picture of my score with the thumb first, and we'll talk about that. Alright, so with my thumb, I shot half a round. I shot a 150 with 22 X's. So I do go off score, but I also go off feel. And I know for a fact, bottom right, about halfway through, I made a shot that I was praying for it just to be a 4. It just didn't feel right. Another thing I've been working on personally is shooting 2 eyes open and really just focusing down range, putting all my attention and allowing the pin to just float. So it went off and I just swore the pin was not in a good position, and when I got down there to score them, I was cutting an X line on the bottom side. So one thing I felt is when this broke clean, I shot almost inside out every time this just pulled out. I wouldn't even almost have to look. Like if I executed what I was supposed to do and a clean follow through, a clean squeeze, this just really right now is feeling really good with the setup I got going on. Now, this was a struggle I've had ever since I went outside with this. I've really been struggling to get it to go off. So I will post the picture of the score that I shot. Again, I shot a half a round with my hinge. I actually shot my hinge round first, and then I shot the thumb. I did warm up and shoot some rounds just to confirm, because I hadn't shot this in a while and get used to a hinge. So I shot a half a round before to get warmed up, and then went into this, and I'll post a picture of that. We'll talk about it. So, as you saw, I shot 148 with I think 15 X's. So, the 148, obviously I shot 2 4s. My miss even through the winter time with a hinge, was always a little low and a little right. One of the things I've always kind of struggled with is if I start to pull too hard to get this to go off, my shot breaks down, and it seems to always break down. I don't know why in that direction. If anyone out there in internet land can tell me that, leave a comment and let me know, because I'd like to know. But and I did shoot a few lower X's too. So in this scenario today, it was a very clear cut winner. My shot pattern was tighter, my air window was less. I shot more in the center over a few shots with the thumb. It isn't always that clear, let me say that. So a lot of times when I'm making stabilizer changes, or when I decided to go in between these in the first place, that it was maybe an X difference. But what I had to consider and to take into consideration is how it was my shot breaking. Was I struggling to get one to go off over the other? Even though I knew I was struggling, it still maybe hit dead center, where the other one, it came more easy to hit dead center. And I didn't struggle so much to get the shot to go off. So you also have to be honest with yourself. There was times where maybe I shot a little lower score with the thumb button, but my shot process was just so much smoother that I was like, well, let me work on this thumb and let me see what I can do if I can improve it a little bit. And sure enough, that's what exactly happened. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the bow this go around. I'm shooting a PSE Evo 35. My goal is to take that straight from the 3D woods, straight into the hunting woods, and straight back to paper this winter. I believe that is a true do-it-all bow for the guy that wants one bow to do everything, to have the ability to shoot year-round. I believe that Evo 35 is that bow. The axle is great. The brace sights are great. It shoots so good. You can bump your holding weight up easily. You can turn it back down for hunting. I believe that it's a fantastic bow. But for whatever reason, I just shoot it a little bit better with my button. So that is what has made the decision for me, and that is what's ultimately going to make the decision for you. That is why we carry so many releases in stock, is because we want you to play with them. We want you to come in here. We want you to put your hands on them, and we want you to look at them and try them. I do recommend for a lot of guys that are shooting 3D and hunting to carry these two. If nothing else, if you at the end of the day are like, I can never figure out a hinge and I shoot it like crap, it's a great training aid. Get this thing out once a month, once a week, and just shoot 50 arrows with it. And something I like to do is when I'm not shooting it like right now, I know this isn't my primary release. I've committed to the thumb to see how that goes. I will actually move this moon around, and I will change how hot or cold this is. And then what it will make me do, if I get it real hot, it'll go off a little sooner. If I get it real cold, or I'll take the click out and I'll use it as a training aid to pull back and to really make sure I'm walking through that shot all the way every time. So it's a really good training aid if you start to get a little punchy with one of these. But I got this set up really light for one, with not a lot of movement. I know some guys talk about shooting them a little heavier with a lot of movement. I try to still shoot this as a hinge just because it's a button. I don't shoot it. I see a lot of guys will come back here, and I don't know how well you can see it, but one movement they will bring their thumb around, it will never stop moving, and they'll hammer on that. You're going to get a lot of inconsistencies whether you shoot a thumb that way or a wrist strap. So how I have this set up, obviously for me, is as I come in, I kind of start to relax my hand. I circle my thumb around it. I get in there pretty right in the bottom, right there against the palm too. And as I start to pull, it just fires. So I have, again, this is something that needs to be set up to you. And it takes time. I mean, I bet it took almost a week to set this up to my hand. It took shooting around a 5 spot. I mean, moving this a slight, making it a touch hotter, maybe a touch colder, changing the travel, changing every little thing. I actually flipped the barrel at one point, had the barrel off the other side, just trying anything I could to make it fit my hand, my shot style the best. So the best and most honest answer I can give you is, I don't know what will work best for you, but I will help you through the process. Of getting different releases, explaining why one thumb is better than the other because of the adjustability factors, and get you in something that I believe you can do everything with and try. So get into your local pro shops. If you're not in Ohio, go to your local pro shops. If you are in Ohio, please come see us. We are in Dayton, Ohio, and if you haven't liked and subscribed to our new channel, please do. But come see us. We'll talk you through it, like I said. And there are some guidelines, but outside of that, just shoot them. See what you like. I've had guys shoot a thumb and hate them and go back to a hinge, go back to a wrist strap. I've had guys come from a wrist strap, go into a thumb, and they're like, I just love it. I can get in, my anchor's better. I don't have to worry about trying to get my finger over. Like, everything's a little better. My thumb movement, and they love it. So, some of it does have to do with feel, and some of it you need to break down at some point and see which one you're physically shooting better. Just because it maybe feels a little bit better. If this one felt like crap, but this one felt really good, and the scores were still the same, I'd probably work on this one more. But because this one feels so good, the results also are so high, I'm shooting it really well. It's a clear-cut winner. So it's a combination of score and feel. So stop in, see us. Thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned. Put a comment below. Let me know what you guys want to see or hear about next. Thank you. Have a great day.